Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Again, it is such a pleasure to welcome our special guest from Fasset here today, Sister Aijarim, who is our marketing director. We also have Brother Akram from Musaffa. He's our CEO and co-founder. So just a short line about Fasset. It's the world's first stablecoin-powered digital bank, interest-free, global, and halal. So Sister Aijarim can actually share more about Fasset. But to start off, thank you all so much for joining. This conversation is going to be about crypto, about halal investing, and you guys gave us so many questions about crypto. I know this space has people excited, but also confused. And so we'll be going through a lot of these questions together. We also have a presentation prepared for you. But I have a short disclaimer that I'll start the conversation with. And then Sister Ajram, you can share any if you have any. But so Musaffa LLC is a U.S. SEC registered investment advisor. SEC registration does not imply SEC endorsement. This webinar is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing discussed today should be considered investment advice, a recommendation to buy or sell any security, or other type of professional advice. The views and opinions expressed during this webinar are our own and may not be representative of the views or experiences of others. All investments involve risk, including possible loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Any references to third-party companies, brands, or logos are for informational purposes only and do not constitute an endorsement or partnership. Thank you so much. So please, in the chat, let us know where you're from. We love knowing all the different countries and time zones everyone is calling in from. It's currently 8 a.m. in New York City, at least, 5 p.m. inshallah in Dubai, I believe. And put in the chat any questions you may have, so we'll address it at the end. So, Sister Ajram, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm extremely happy and excited to welcome everyone into this webinar. Sister Nusrat and Brother Akram we have been preparing and scheduling and also working on our decks to make sure that you get the most out of today's topic, inshallah. And me, myself, my name is Aigrim. I am based in Dubai right now, and I'm the marketing director at Fasset. As Sister Nusrat mentioned, it's the first stablecoin-based digital bank on chain, meaning that obviously Sharia-compliant Islamic digital bank. All of our assets, almost 100 of them, all are Sharia-compliant, and all of our services and products as well. And we target and run from Morocco to Malaysia primarily, but we also you can also use our app and our products anywhere in the world. If you want to get a Sharia-compliant digital bank products like an IBAN account or a Fasset card where you can pay by your crypto, which is also an interesting utility. And we have 6 different asset classes, including crypto. And obviously all of the crypto on our app is Sharia compliant. So this is where we are right now. And yeah, I'm happy to share more per our deck and answer the questions.
Awesome. Maybe, Brother Akram, you can share a few sentences about Musaffa, and then we can get started.
Sure, I can. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. So Igram is in Dubai. We should have done a podcast rather than a webinar, but probably next time, yeah? So very quickly, I am the co-founder and the COO of Musaffa, which is a halal investing application and a platform where we allow for US investing, halal stock screening, purification, and everything around halal investing in one app and one platform. And what we have done in the last 5 years is basically gone deep down into the structural issues of Islamic finance as a whole, where we understood the problems of identifying which investment globally is Sharia compliant or not compliant. Of course, on our platform, we call it halal and not halal, just to make it easier for users to understand if it is allowed for them or not allowed for them to go ahead, right? So the key prospect of what Musaffa is offering for its Muslim audience around the globe is that it's an all-in-one application where you can come in, You can screen for halal investments. You can research about those stocks, ETFs. In the future, maybe crypto as well, inshallah. And you can learn about halal investing. You can learn about the markets that you are involved in or you're looking forward to invest in, and then make a very defined decision and use the platform for investing. Right now, we have US investing, and inshallah, very soon we'll go to different regions and launch in those regions as well. Yeah, that's all about it. If you want to, I can talk about myself the whole day, but I believe we have 1 hour. Yeah. So,
We can have a webinar just for Akram one day, just so Akram can talk about his money.
yeah. I love to talk about myself, but it's not about me. So, yeah. Yeah, Sister Agrim, I believe you have a presentation to go ahead, please.
So about Fasset, we already know. Disclaimer, Sister Nusrat has already mentioned.
Extensively.
Okay, now when it comes to investing into crypto, right? You don't want to invest anything that you cannot lose, especially when it comes to crypto. Even the Sharia compliant screened ones, you have to be very careful, as because in general crypto is quite volatile. So when you put your budget and your investment strategy together, it's important to make sure that you prioritize what's important and then invest into volatile assets, keeping in mind that you might lose these investments. Okay, so these few slides are in general like the prerequisite into crypto investing, right? Because crypto is part of the portfolio, and in general, if you want to diversify your portfolio and eventually, inshallah, retire and have a good capital to it with you, then obviously investing is more preferable than saving, because with saving, the money obviously loses its value due to inflation and stuff. So, but when it comes to investing, again, you have to be really mindful. So this is something that I wanted to highlight before we go deeper into the topic. Yes, I think we have covered that.
Mhm.
Oh, and also again, there is high risk investing and there is low risk investing, right? You like the compounding is the key, but and obviously crypto is in the point where it's considered as comparatively risky investment. All right, so this page is about how Musaffa, as a screening platform, does the screening for stocks. Brother Akram, if you want to cover that.
So this webinar is about investing in general and also about crypto as portfolio, right? So one important thing that Sister Agrim actually mentioned as well was about how do you budget, how do you save, and how do you choose between saving and investing, right? So this is where these applications like we have Musaffa and we have Fasset and all these things come in, where you utilize the tools that are available in this application, and then you have your refined decisions that you have concluded through utilizing these tools, identifying your own financial structure, and then making an informed decision, right? So we are just here to assist, but most importantly, it's super critical for any Muslim today to identify a plan that they are going to incorporate into their they're going to incorporate a financial plan for their income, for their savings, and plan their investments accordingly, right? So how does Musaffa come in? Is first, Musaffa gives you access to 120,000 stocks globally, right? Where it has a screening solution where you can utilize the screener and identify which stocks are allowed to invest in. That's halal. We call it halal. It's also called Sharia compliant, and which stocks are non-compliant, right? So this filters down majority of the investment horizon for you into your investing universe, right? So this is what we're trying to achieve. Okay. So once you narrow that down, there are research tools available inside the platform where you can not just check for the compliance, you can check for the price, you can check for performance, you can check for the ratios that are relevant for that industry, and then plan an entire budget around it. Okay. And as this presentation is going to go forward, we are going to share more insights about how you will be able to diversify, how you should think about diversification, how you should think about adding multiple asset classes, etc., etc. So that's the core context of the webinar, and I believe Sister Igram has everything planned. But right now, the screen that you're seeing is about Halal Stock Screener, and this is just one part and one feature of Musaffa. Inshallah, I'll add more towards the topic once we go ahead.
All right. So common investment mistakes, again, it's also applicable to crypto. Lack of resources or knowledge, overreacting to market fluctuations, which is happening right now actually, and lack of diversification. We don't put all of the eggs into one basket, right? Timing the market is crucial. You want to buy when the price is low and don't panic sell. When price goes low, if you believe into that asset, underestimating risks and failing to save adequately. General rule of thumb, you have to have 3 to 6 months of your salary saved right before even starting. Not starting early. I think timing is the most crucial part. Even if you can start investing smaller amounts, but the earlier you start, the compound interest shows that. And there is a slide about that it is better. This is the most crucial factor. And lack of Sharia knowledge, obviously. And this is why we're here, and this is why our Mufti is also there, releasing a lot of content about Sharia knowledge when it comes to finance. You can click a few more times. So this is, I think, the representation of how important it is to start early. For example, one individual starts at 25 and she invests over the 10 years, $5,000 per year, and stops investing at 35. And eventually this amount that she has invested over the next 30 years will make her this much, $787,000. And if somebody starts at 35 and keeps investing for 30 years and stops investing at 65, they will still make less money. So the earlier you start, the better, because the compound interest works like that. Even if you start with smaller amount, the amount of times that you have the compound interest for actually shows how much you actually earn it. And so I strongly encourage, even if you're a student or you're just starting your career, it's never too late, and it's never too early. So just start investing even with small amounts, and you'll see how compound interest works. It happened to me when I started investing. I forgot the password for one of my apps back home in Kazakhstan, and then I realized that how compound interest works. So I think it was one of the use cases where I saw it with my own example, yeah. And this is also what happens all the time. People panic and then they sell when the price drops, and when everybody's excited about some particular asset and the price goes high and people just want to grab it. So it's crucial not to do that, and to do your research and invest into something that you strongly believe in and don't mind holding for 10, 20, 30, 40 years actually. Next slide.
But if you don't mind, if I can share something about this, we actually just had a webinar on dollar cost averaging, and it's a very well-known concept, right? You don't necessarily buy a stock when it's high and sell when it's low, but the way that's absolutely the wrong thing to do. You should buy when it's low and then sell when it's high. But the idea was, you keep buying a little bit. You let's say Nvidia, it's a halal stock, so you buy, like, let's say $10 of Nvidia every day. So eventually it evens out. So you're not becoming emotional over buying it at a particular time, but because you're buying a little bit every day, it averages, and so you're actually in the long term better off than someone who's going too emotional about where and when to buy. But then also there's a lot of benefit in understanding market timing. So there's a lot of, I think halal investing does, and Islamic finance points everyone to fundamental analysis. And that is tried and true. It's Sharia compliant, but there is benefit in learning a little bit about technical analysis so that you understand the structure of the market, right? So there is benefit of understanding why is a stock at its high, and then is it possible to buy at its low, and what are the different levels? And so just wanted to add that extra bit.
Sure. Somebody mentioned, I think Idris mentioned the wording exact, right? So if not interest, maybe you're right, maybe it's the wrong word, but the compound build up, because the value of the asset eventually grow over time, right? So, calculating the value of the asset and being mindful how much the asset is going to cost over time, and starting early. That's what I meant. Yeah. Again, diversification of the portfolio, if you can see throughout the years, the returns on each of asset class, it fluctuates also, right? So that's important that's why we say that we don't put all of the eggs in one basket, and we have different asset classes in our portfolio to make sure that inshallah you have the returns on your investment. This I have already covered. It's advised not to put more than 5 to 10% of your capital into crypto. Obviously, there are other asset classes that you can invest in and build your portfolio around. So, and crypto is the smallest part in that. So just repeating that again to be mindful of the risks. And okay, interesting part. And what's crypto, right? Crypto, short for cryptocurrency, is the first use case of blockchain, which is Bitcoin. So blockchain itself can be used for different purposes, not only in finance, but the very first use case of blockchain happens to be in finance, specifically for Bitcoin, and blockchain is the way to serve and to contain and to send value on its own, right? Like it's an infrastructure blockchain, so we can save data or value in the cloud, but we can also save and store and like share data on blockchain as well. It's just different way of storing and sharing data. So instead of having it in the cloud where it's hosted and held by a central entity like Google, for example, right? We can do it in blockchain when there is no CEO of blockchain, right? There is CEO of Google, but there is no CEO of blockchain. So where everybody who participates in it holds the accountability, right? And there is no, and this decentralized way of serving, of sharing, of containing and sending data. So it's just a decentralized way to store and share data. In a nutshell, for blockchain as an infrastructure. When it comes to crypto, it's the digital or virtual currency that uses cryptography for security. And unlike traditional currencies, which are issued and controlled by governments, again, for cryptocurrencies, it's also decentralized again by the nature of blockchain. And the first blockchain use case is Bitcoin. So it's the very first use case, and this is how blockchain emerged. And it's just, in a nutshell, it's an infrastructure for financial services, basically decentralized. I hope it makes sense. Like I tried to explain it in a very simple way, because a lot of people are scared of blockchain or of cryptocurrency or anything related to Web3, but it's just a different way to store and share data, just like in Google. And blockchain is applicable not actually only in finance; it's also applicable in other areas of life. For example, for verification, you can have your diploma on blockchain, etc., etc. Another use case, right? But when it comes to finance, it turns into a cryptocurrency. So don't be scared of that. It's a decentralized finance, DeFi, in a nutshell. And this is just a different infrastructure, decentralized infrastructure. And again, we always say, do your own research, right? Like educate yourself, get the knowledge. These two are the key aggregators when it comes to crypto. And it's coinmarketcap.com and coinmarketcal.com. So coinmarketcap has all of the cryptocurrencies listed there by their obviously market cap, and there are also different platforms where you can buy those assets, right? What is trending, what's performing the best. So this is where you can get your market knowledge when it comes to crypto. And CoinMarketCal is the calendar. They're not associated, these two aggregators, they're different. But CoinMarketCal has all of the events and all of the launches, token launches, so you can also time and see what's happening, and maybe there is something happening near your neighborhood where you can join and just connect with the community, Web3 community. All right, if Brother Akram, you want to and add anything, please feel free to do it anytime.
Yeah, no. Continue. Actually, it's interesting how you're speaking. So, once you're done, I will share my view on crypto and the investing and all that. Yeah, please continue.
Sure. So another resource, other resources, right? So there are a few reports that I'm a huge fan of, like Global Blockchain Business Council. It's a nonprofit organization, so they issue a lot of reports where you can read those reports, educate yourself. A16Z Crypto, Anderson Horowitz, obviously, they have crypto division, and they also issue annual reports where that you can also have a look at. So I think it's the best to just go through the primary resource and educate yourself, so you are not shaken by whatever is happening internally. So you are standing stern on the ground, knowing about the industry and knowing about the crypto, and so you can make your own decisions, right? So going to primary resources is really helpful. I personally love these reports, and other news channels are CoinDesk, obviously. CoinMarketCap also has the news vertical in it. Cointelegraph in crypto. I like Cryptopolitan as well. I think they do also good tech analysis of different cryptocurrencies. So if you want to go deeper and understand the tech background of any particular crypto, it's also helpful. And also there are different communities on Twitter, and the entire crypto community, I think, is primarily on Twitter. So you can follow Satoshi Club, CoinTruster, CoinGecko, Block Talks. CoinGecko is similar to CoinMarketCap. It's another aggregator, so you can also follow and just be in the conversation and just understand what is happening. So it will make you feel like you belong in the community, in the Web3 community. So it's important to just jump in and educate yourself through these resources. So I just listed a few here that you can start with. Again, I mentioned the word community several times, right? Like the entire Web3 is built around community. So and Web3 marketing is also built around community, right? So it's the nature of crypto. There are a few key opinion leaders like Da Vinci, who was one of the first advocates for Bitcoin, and before all of this big movement started, he was actually releasing YouTube videos and saying, just invest. When the Bitcoin cost was like $2, $3, $5, $10, $15, he was like, just invest in Bitcoin and you'll never have to work in your life again. So he was one of the early advocates for Bitcoin. And the channels or the platforms where the Bitcoin crypto communities is primarily, again, Twitter, Telegram, Discord, Reddit, and the blog is primarily on Mirror. It's like Web3 blog platform. And also communities are built around airdrops, and obviously being Shariah compliant, the crypto has to have utility, because without utility, it's not a Sharia compliant cryptocurrency. So basically the conclusion for these two slides is just become member of the community online through these channels, educate yourself, and you'll feel way more comfortable when it comes to crypto. And again, the nature of crypto is that since it's a comparatively new technology, the blockchain, there was a lot of fluctuation, there was a lot of buzz at the beginning, a lot of crazy stuff happening, people expecting to become rich and just to invest into few volatile cryptocurrencies and just make money out of that. So I remember even after 2023 the market was like that, but I think after 2022 2023 it's becoming healthier and more regulated and more compliant. But in general, people who entered crypto early on, they were expecting to have constant all-time high. ATH stands for all-time high, that any particular cryptocurrency will be reaching the next higher price, and people were expecting that. So obviously by the nature of the market, it's not possible, right? So and there were a few things happening that just crushed the market, like FTX crashed. FTX is an exchange where they had their utility token, which did not have utility in specifically, right? So that's why the exchange crashed. There are a few rug pulls happening when people launch the token again. It doesn't have the utility, and then people who launch tokens, they just disappear. FAT stands for fear, and just people being scared for any particular cryptocurrency and creating buzz around that, like negative buzz. So these are the negative sides of cryptocurrency. I think it's important, crypto market, I think it's important to be aware about that as well. The next slide. Okay, when it comes to Sharia compliance, obviously all of the digital assets on Fasset, including these trees that I mentioned there, these are my personal favorites, so not the financial advice, just sharing my experience. So they are obviously screened and Sharia compliant, and you can get these tokens on Facet. Brother Akram can also elaborate on that, but the main criteria when it comes to Sharia screening is that it has utility, right? So strong utility, because without the utility, it doesn't comply as a Sharia compliant, as a Sharia or Islamic crypto. So we cannot trade or buy non-existent items. So the main thing is that there is a utility. And even if some intangible assets like gas or electricity is not tangible per se, but it still has the utility, right? So I would say number one criteria is for the asset to have utility and to have value behind that. And all of these tokens, they do have utilities, they do have value. So yes, somebody asked about XRP. Let me check actually. I think Ripple does have utility. Ripple does have utility, and we do have Ripple on our app. So it does have recognized value. It has the benefit and utility, and it's identifiable and scarce. So these four are the main points that you can transfer that. It does have classification. So by this criteria, we have Ripple on our app as well. So you can invest into Sharia Ripple. The next slide. Again, how to choose the right platform, right? There are a few factors to that. Obviously, it has to be secure from the technical and from financial perspective, compliant, and we, for example, license first app, right? So we have over a dozen licenses, and our latest one is the digital bank on-chain license from Labuan, which makes us the first on-chain bank. Customer support, I think, is important. So if you face any issues, you can get the support that you need. Obviously, fees play the role, but I think I don't mind paying a little bit more fee if the platform is safe and the platform is Sharia compliant. And obviously, everything has to be transparent. And accessibility, aka ability to invest in fractional assets. Why we mentioned that is that being a digital asset, for example, you cannot buy just a small part of an apartment, right, or of a building in a traditional way. But when it comes to tokenization and to block in the crypto, digital assets actually let you be the owner of small fractions of any particular asset. So that's the beauty of digital assets and crypto. So it gives the accessibility. So the topic of tokenization is a huge separate topic. Maybe we can cover it next time, but I think that's kind of gives the liquidity and accessibility by the nature of digital assets to all of us. I think that's pretty much it from my side. I believe there are a few more slides, and Brother Akram can also share from his side. Yes, this is what I have mentioned.
Yes. Thank you so much, Egram. That was really insightful. So I'm going to talk a lot. And you know what I decided after seeing all these questions? I was just thinking about it. I should start a YouTube channel and talk about these topics, like pick one topic at a time and just go through it, or at length. But because there are so many questions, right? So let's take a step back Okay, I don't want to talk about crypto specifically or one coin or whatever, but I'm going to talk about in general. How do you think about investing? Okay, now this is super critical, and I'm Indian, so I move my hand a lot. I stay here in Dubai, but so I'm going to explain how you should think about your finances, how you should think about investments. Okay, so uh, a great way to start is first, as Sister Egrem and multiple webinars we have spoken about, is to identify your emergency fund, right? And then it's to identify what type of goals have you set for yourself, right? And you try to match investments to those goals and to those emergency fund, to those objectives that you have set for your life. And it can be anything. It can be for your education, it can be for the car that you want to buy, it can be for the house, it can be for the wedding, it can be for your children, etc., etc. How do you go about it is something that we are here to discuss, right? Why did I say that I don't want to get into the crypto topic first? Because first we have to think about as a portfolio, right? And a great analogy for that is in a household where you're in control of all the finances, right? And how do you decide to distribute money, right? Do you give it to the young teenager in your house? Like, that's what crypto is, right, today. So what is crypto? It's such a young asset class. It's 16, 17 years a market as overall, as compared to when you see it in comparison with gold, and when you see it in comparison with the stock markets, right? Stock markets has been since hundreds of years now. Like Nasdaq was in 1970s, I believe, and before that, London Stock Exchange was in 1800s. It started. But the digital structure started. So how do you think about it is really important, right? So you need to learn how to bifurcate and diversify your wealth and link it to the goals that you're trying to achieve, because not all investments are here to give you 5x, 10x, 20x returns. Because investment decisions are not taken based on returns, it is taken based on risk, right? Your age matters, right? Your income matters, your net worth, your current net worth matters. So you need to conclude these things and identify how much risk are you willing to take, right? So crypto is amazing when you are willing to risk a little bit of capital for the fun, because it's a teenage product, right? It's not stabilized yet. Imagine a 40% crash that we saw in the previous few weeks. This tells you that this is something that you're not going to park all your money into, right? So you're not going to make sure that, okay, I have this much wealth, I'm going to get 4x returns or 5x returns in that wishful thinking I'm going to park. You have to take very mature decisions and learn how to diversify your investments. You can only take certain amount of risk, okay, for certain amount of asset classes, right? So you should have your stock portfolio, you should have your commodity portfolio, you should have your digital assets to a certain percentage of your overall portfolio, and you plan it accordingly, right? And the reason that I give this family analogy is because it's very important, because it also shows how you represent gold in your portfolio, how you represent real estate in your portfolio, because the timeline is like that, right? How many people do you know that in their young 20s or 30s have already purchased a house, right? It's always the people that have actually stabilized their income and now started to invest in real estate. And then you have people that, in especially in Asian traditions, commodities like gold, etc., etc., are treated as religious investments, right? They always purchase it and keep, so that they are hedging themselves against the inflation risk, right? And uh, you have the younger audience that is investing more into the digital space, right? Where they are more inclined towards purchasing digital assets, but the risk assessment is particularly important. That's the first point. So I saw a lot of questions about what do you think, what I think about the crypto markets right now. So that's why I want to jump into the crypto part, because this webinar is about that. But over the course of the future webinars, inshallah, we're going to try to cover how you should plan, how you should do your investment analysis, how you're going to do your financial analysis, how you're going to do your net worth analysis, and how you're going to club everything together. Right now, we're going to talk about crypto in general, right? So if you think that Bitcoin is something that is only the tradable value, is like if somebody is willing to pay X amount of dollars, that's the value of Bitcoin right now. It's actually you're not thinking as a scope, because the fall that we have seen in the recent weeks is not just impacted because of the fundamentals of Bitcoin. There are still going to be 21 million coins that are going to be issued. It's not just the fundamental part of it. It's not disturbed. It's the macroeconomic events, right? Because what has happened critically right now is that there has been a liquidation of paper money that has come in. Okay. So we need to be very thoughtful about if, let's say, somebody has taken a position, do we just panic and sell? That's what diagram and Nusrat was saying, do we just panic and sell? That's not the right outlook. You have to look at, has this crash, is the impact of this crash come from the fundamental structure of the crypto markets? Probably not. Okay. Because it's not been disturbed to that level right now. Right, macroeconomic events are impacting it. There has been a lot of future and derived value derivatives launched in the crypto space, where people pay a lot of paper money and leverage has come into play. So right now, what I believe is that the paper money is getting out. The people who have taken high amount of leverage and inflated the prices is getting out of the system. But the reality of crypto is still the same, right? There is, like, especially for Bitcoin, right? So it's still the same, because there are 21 million in coins in offering, and that's not going to change. It does have its own value as an asset that you can park your funds in. Especially with tokenization coming in, there is a utility that's going to be created, because, for example, Ethereum, Solana have their own ledgers, and especially with tokenization, you have multiple asset classes that can be linked. You have your stocks, you have your real estate. People who aspire to have a home, who cannot afford that amount of money, can now start owning the returns and try to gain the returns of real estate investing through tokenization. And these ledgers that have been built on the blockchain are powered by Ethereum and Solana, right? And it really motivates the tokenization model as a whole, right? And it's still a big question, that why so much impact, right? So I get this question a lot, like, what do you think about this? Because the way a Bitcoin was structured, or it was presented, was basically, it was presented against as a currency, as a decentralized currency against the dollar, or the current currencies in the fiat currencies that in the world, right? So if there is dollar coming down right now, and dollar is getting impacted with Russia and China and all those different structures coming in, so why has Bitcoin not gained, right? This is a very critical question, right? So and plus, because we saw in the past 2 years, there have been numerous policies that have been favoring Bitcoin as a whole. So you have the Genius Act. They're trying to make the reserve, the Federal Reserve is trying to make a reserve of Bitcoin, so that they can rely and hedge it against inflation. So um, even after so many pro crypto policies coming in, there has still been that stability issue. But you have to recall to the first point I said, it is a very young asset class. It's a teenager right now. Why do I say that again and again? Because it requires time to stabilize. In the 1970s, 80s, 90s, there are so many crashes along the period of 8 years, in a cycle of 8 years, that you would see the stock markets getting crashed, right? Overall, because there was the dot-com bubble, there was the 2008 crash. So it does happen in multiple markets. There are cycles, but especially with the young asset class, it is bound to happen. But we also have to look at the fundamental side of it. The you have to look at where the market is moving towards. There is a critical aspect where right now the market is moving towards tokenization, and we see it happening. And there is a blockchain ledger that they can rely on. There is smart contracts created on the Ethereum and Solana system, and multiple coins, etc. But I'm just going to talk about the top popular ones, because it's also, as I mentioned, it's also about risk aversion, right? So we don't have to get to a unique coin that is there is a rug pull or whatever. But the critical aspect of this is that the fundamentals are still there in place. It is an asset class. It is an asset class that requires maybe more time in the economic horizon, and most critically, it's not an asset class that you're going to park a lot of money towards. It's an asset class that is here for you to help you diversify and get those returns that such an asset class can provide. Because when you start investing in stocks or you start investing in gold, of course, gold has broken all myths in the previous couple of months, uh, but you don't get exponential returns with this, right? So you get more stable returns, right? That's why people say you should invest in just the indexes and relax, so that you can get 10 to 12% of return, and it gives you a better stability in your financial growth, rather than you going and putting in money in high risky or leveraged asset classes. So in that comparison, when you look at crypto, you should look at it from this standpoint, that there's only a little bit of amount from your portfolio. I don't want to share the percentages because this is not financial advice, but a small percentage is good enough for you to start and let the asset mature itself. And once that happens, it provides more utility. That you guys were, some people were asking, what is utility? Utility is nothing but what is the use case of these, right? How do you utilize these coins or these tokens that are available, right? So each token has its own utility. You have to read about it. So as I mentioned, that there is a ledger for Ethereum that allows you to do smart contracts, etc., etc. So there is the utility of Ethereum. So, and probably it is halal as well. I've not checked on Fasset's platform, and Musaffa, frankly, right now doesn't cover crypto, and I'm trying to push the team to cover it. Okay, so soon, inshallah, you're gonna see crypto coverage. But the goal is that utility is nothing but what each and every coin or token has its individual utility, and they're trying to present themselves. So, firstly, most important, never get into or invest in coins or tokens that have come out of nowhere and is just a hype or a meme or etc. Never do that. First, learn about it. It's very important. We are Muslims first, yeah. It's not something that we just go, okay, this is trending and we start doing it. Okay, so you need to first learn about your investments. Okay, where are you putting your money? It's your money, right? Yeah, like you earned it giving so many hours of your life. You did so much business and you earned this money. You cannot just start doing and speculating in the market, right? So you learn about the utility of an individual coin and then take a decision. But overall, right now my view is very clear that crypto has proved some form of utility, and it has more utility coming in with tokenization that is on the books right now, especially large corporates, governments backing it. You had multiple pro crypto policies that have been issued in the last couple of years from US. There is a Hong Kong bill that was passed recently as well. So all these things impact your future growth of the asset class. And I'm a firm believer this should be a part of everybody's portfolio, but not to that extent where your risk exceeds your expectation. Like your risk is beyond what your net worth allows you, or your emergency fund allows you to be. So inshallah, we'll plan to speak about that as well. So if there are any new questions, I'm happy to answer it before I hand it over to Sister Egram.
Yeah, I would say, Brother Akram, someone was asking about why are you so bullish on crypto when there's some research that's saying the opposite. So
This is my secret way of telling everybody that I know I have this beard, but I'm young. So young people are always bullish on crypto. Okay, so especially because I love this saying from Warren Buffett. Yeah, he always said that the future is always better, right? And Islamically also, if you think of it, we know that the future is going to be much more tech savvy. It's going to have the digital economy is going to far exceed, etc. From an Islamic point of view, before the end times. Sorry for the scary words, but we know that the future, inshallah, is always going to be better. In that perspective, I feel that the crypto structure is here to stay. Okay, and I'm not looking at it from a very conservative lens that okay, there has been a 40% fall. Where which asset class has never had a 40% fall? Which asset class? Every asset class has had, right? Stock markets have fallen beyond what you can imagine in 2008. Real estate, I stay here in Dubai. I don't want to talk anything about Dubai, but when the financial crisis hit, people have parked their cars in front of airports and just left, abandoning the real estate that they had, right? This is what happens when asset classes are impacted, and it has impacted crypto as well. But the stability issues has not been resolved, right? And I firmly believe that if this asset class is given enough time and the market allows it to mature with regulations in place, with more government support, policies like, you had the Genius Act that came in, you had the reserve policy, you have the Hong Kong bill that was passed. So many things that impacted the growth of crypto. It requires more. And we also have to be mindful. We don't have to get into the small tokens, etc., right now, because it is not stable, right? If it is not stable, you should look at the top tier ones, probably only the top three, top four. That's it, right? So I'm not trying to tell you guys that this is a good time to enter the market or exit the market. I'm not here to give any financial advice. But if you have crypto in your portfolio, there is no need to panic. Okay. So it's not something that you need to panic about and just go sell and then you realize, oh my god, it went from 60-70K to 80-90K again, I will buy again. So this is how my friends behave, like people who don't understand finance. And that's why I told you guys I want to start probably a YouTube channel, or maybe some reels I'll try to post about how you think about in every situation. Okay, in Islam actually promotes us to think that way, right? When you start your day, you need to be mindful about how you're starting. Why Islam promotes that you start early in the day is because you have time after your tahajjud, after your fajr prayers. You sit down, you plan your day, and you get out to work, and you earn your living, and you also have your breaks in between where you leave the world and you connect with the dunya, right? You connect with the deen. You go for zohar. So it allows you to break things and plan your day. You don't take panic actions, right? And it's also something that yeah, the devil also wants you to rush things and take decisions in haste, in anger. So this is not Islamic in the whole crux of it. So, but it is an asset class. It is one of the asset class that has survived for so many years, but it's still not as many as the others, and it requires more maturity, more time in the market. And inshallah, hopefully, it's going to be something that will going to give you the returns that you're probably linking all your house and your foreign trips and hopes with. So
Thank you so much, Brother Akram. I'll just address a couple of questions specifically for Fasset.
sure.
First of all, how do we choose crypto? Do your own research, just go through all the reports. And if you have any particular questions, like you can also DM me, like how to even start, right? So you start small and you get comfortable, just gain the knowledge, and then you'll be more comfortable, like confident and comfortable, and you'll understand how, from your perspective, the market and the industry works. Is Fasset and Musaffa providing staking also? We do have staking for a couple of tokens, which are my favorite features. I think it's incredible to stake a token and just also have some passive income on that. So yeah, we do have staking on Fasset, including for a few cryptocurrencies. And also another question is, I think it's an interesting question. Crypto is not an asset as it is a program without any backed assets. Why you are not opposed? There are thousands of coins and all are fake with unlimited supply. So that's why we don't say that the entire cryptocurrency is halal, right? There are only few tokens that are halal that went to Sharia screening and that are Sharia compliant. And there are like dozens of criteria when it comes to screening, right? So we have our muftis who do the screening. And number one, as we mentioned before, is the utility, limited supply, and the tangible value to it, right? Being also transferable, and all of that stuff. So you can go to Fasset.io and go and see what kind of assets do we have, digital assets. We do have Bitcoin and we do have few more. And we also have a lot of content by Mufti Faraz on our YouTube and on our Instagram, where he covers how exactly do we screen, how exactly this process works. So you can also get to know more about that. Yeah, a Facet does have staking. You can stake on Facet, including crypto, obviously. Not all cryptocurrency is halal. Only the screened ones are halal. There are a bunch of, as somebody mentioned, there are thousands of coins that they don't have utility. Obviously, it's not halal. So that's why you have to pick the right platform, right? Like Musaffa and Facet.
Yeah.
That's it from my side. Yeah, Sister Nusrat.
No, sorry, Agram. Thank you so much. I was going to say that Mufti Faraz Adam is also our Sharia advisor at Musaffa as well. So he helps with, when our analysts have questions about screening stocks, we go to him for advice and for him for guidance. And so I gave his LinkedIn. I would love if everyone can go and actually look at some of the content that he produces, because he shares so much about crypto, about and its relation to Sharia compliance. So if anyone's interested, he's a great source of resource.
I just want to add one thing I always tell people. Okay, so I believe neither is Igram or me. We are not Sharia scholars. Okay, we are not muftis. We are not sheikhs. Okay, especially for Musaffa, I always make it very clear to everybody that I am not here to fight the fatwa war. That okay, you have a fatwa against I have a fatwa. That's not the goal. We're a data company. Okay, our goal is to make sure if there is a legitimate fatwa available, okay, and we have validated it with multiple scholars, then we will put it on our platform. Okay, right now, that's why I mentioned that crypto we don't cover, because we are still working with multiple Sharia advisors, and we're going to plan it to launch it in a certain way. Okay. The second most important point is that we're a data company. Okay. When I say we're a data company, that means once we cover a certain asset class, you can rely on our expertise to review that we have reviewed their financial statements. We have reviewed the utility part, maybe in crypto. We've addressed the listings. We've seen how secure it is, and we've kind of given it a score for the Sharia compliance of it. And we've also given an MSCI score. Okay, that's the Musaffa social responsibilities index and score, etc. So these things are very important for you to note that once you come on the Musaffa app or the platform, you will be able to see something that has been vetted through Sharia scholars and has been advised, and we have implemented it by doing the topmost analysis in the field, in the industry, right? So we give our heart and soul into getting it down to the point that we have reviewed every single line item and we have reviewed every single footnote. Okay, that's what we have achieved, and that's what we have trained our teams to do. So, and our teams are all around. So Nusrat is in the US, I'm in Dubai, we have a team in Uzbekistan, Malaysia, we have a team in India, and and Canada. So many places. Yeah. So this is what we have achieved, right? So it's very critical that the reason that I mentioned initially as well that Musaffa doesn't cover crypto right now, and whatever I shared on this call is something about my views about how I look at it. Okay, how I have established my own portfolio and own structure, and how I don't provide because I'm not an licensed investment advisor, and how I share my views on the macro structure of it. Which coin is halal? No, I'm not going to answer that question. Which crypto has what utility cannot be answered like this. So for this, we'll try to plan a series on crypto when we launch it on Musaffa. With Facet, I believe they do have this coverage, they do have the Sharia compliance of it, etc. They have it certified, and they do a lot of things on those lines, and sister has already explained. But for all your questions, I'm happy to. I believe a few people have mentioned that they want to add me on LinkedIn. Feel free, you can bombard me with a lot of questions over there, but you have to wait your turn because I'm very slow in social media. Yeah, so that's why you don't see me on Reels or on YouTube yet. But sooner I'm going to pick myself up to do it. So I believe. Uh, I believe we are done. It's almost an hour, so we can say a goodbye notes, inshallah.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining and for spending this hour with us. I hope you learned something. And do your own research, educate yourself, get your own knowledge, be confident, and then you'll be able to make your own decisions, inshallah. And thank you so much, Brother Akram and Sister Nusrat, for being here today and for organizing this webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Yep. And on that note, because she said do your own research, so inshallah, I'm really really hopeful that I will push myself to do some more webinars, podcasts, and reels about educating everyone. So you should definitely stay connected with the webinars. Sorry, I always put alarms for my calls. So, so you should be connected with us, and we'll inshallah try to cover most of the topics. But if you still have any doubts, come to the academy page. We'll try to write about it, so you have somewhere in black and white these things. Okay, and we'll try to cover most of the things in our next webinars and inshallah on our academy as well. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Jazakallah khair for signing up. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll share the recording with everyone, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Welcome.